Sitting on the park bench, eyeing little girls with bad intensity. Hey, Aquila, drying in the cold sun, watching as the pretty Peggy.
Mega Man 3 had the biggest cliffhanger ending in the series, leaving many unanswered questions. Did Dr. Wily perish in the collapse of the Skull Castle? What is the agenda of Proto Man? And why does Mega Man always walk or run home after completing his mission when he can easily teleport? All of these questions made the inevitable entry of Mega Man 4 that much more to look forward to. Since Dr. Wily has seemingly met his demise, the next mad scientist bent on world domination is a mysterious Russian fellow, Dr. Cossack, who organizes his own roster of 8 robots to destroy Mega Man. Like most Mega Man sequels, Mega Man 4 has not been given an overhaul in any way, but some things have changed. The biggest change is the charge shot for the arm cannon, called the Mega Buster. Holding B will charge up a more powerful shot, and you can destroy enemies a lot easier. It's very useful, but in a way, it's too useful. Since you can kill or at least severely wear down most enemies in one shot with the Mega Buster, using all your special weapons that you get from the other Robot Masters doesn't seem to happen nearly as often. Experimenting with the different weapons to find out what works on certain enemies and in certain situations are what make Mega Man games so unique, but the charge shot takes a little something away from it, and I personally feel it's a pretty considerable blow to what starts the downhill path in the quality of the Mega Man games. Now, don't get me wrong, Mega Man 4 is not a bad game. In fact, it's a really good game, but Mega Man games have high standards, so when stacked up against the other games in the series, there are flaws. One of them is the soundtrack, which is tough to hear anyway since you'll spend much time charging up the Mega Buster and the whirring noise it makes will considerably get in the way of the background music. Now there are some really good tracks on here, most notably Skullman and Dr. Cossack's 3rd and 4th levels, but there's too much mediocrity and the production isn't even all that great. You can hear a lot of warbly notes that happen way too often for it to be a coincidence as compared to the polished sound of Mega Man 3. Even some of the sound effects are pretty lame, like listen to the difference in these explosions. What the hell is that? I don't know about anyone else, but I always hated those small rapid bursts for explosions. Another difference is the general dark feel of the game. It isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's a change of pace, but the music, background, and overall feel just has this darker mood than any of the other games before or since. It's kind of unexplainable. It's also more difficult than the previous games, except for the original. But if you're used to how the game works from playing the first 3, you shouldn't get overly frustrated with the game. In addition to Rush, Mega Man has a new sidekick, Flip Top, who appears in specific areas of the game with a randomly generated power-up. The same 3 forms of Rush all return, but the jet has been downgraded. Instead of being able to travel with it freely, Rush will just fly non-stop until you hit something or jump off. I guess they felt the old form of Rush was too easy to move with. Either that or Dr. Light was really cheap with the parts. Or maybe he used those parts to develop the balloon and wire adapters, 2 features in the game that's not part of the series before or since. You'll find each of them in specific areas of 2 different levels. The balloon adapter will allow you to set up balloons that'll float up slowly, much like Item 1 in Mega Man 2. The wire adapter lets you unleash a grappling hook that clings to the ceiling and brings you straight up. It's better for long distance, hard to reach areas vertically, while the balloon is better suited for horizontal gaps or vertically short distance areas. Unlike Mega Man 3, this game has an intro story. In fact, it goes back in time and covers how Mega Man was created, took down Dr. Wily 3 times, and now has to face off with a new arch-nemesis, Dr. Cossack. Then you'll get to the mugshot select screen where you can choose which order you'd like to tackle the levels. First, select Toadman, the first water-based robot master of the 2 you'll encounter in this game. You'll start in the middle of a rainstorm. The wind and rain will push you back, so even though these jumps are short, be sure to jump from the edge of the platforms or you won't reach. Before long, you're underground being pushed by currents or water flow, so watch your footing while shooting down enemies. You'll then encounter the snail mini-boss that fires bombs out of its ass and has retractable eyes. You can only hurt it when his eyes are open, so stand back so you can react to which attack he sends, and charge up your Mega Buster while his eyes are closed, and then release when they're open. It's harder fighting this guy later on when your platform has a 2-way water flow that'll interrupt the flow of your movement, so be careful. Toadman is one of the most pathetic robot masters of all time. He'll shake his ass and do a rain dance, which summons unavoidable acid rain, but preventing him from doing this dance is a cinch. Just shoot him and he'll jump towards you, so just slide under him and shift over and keep shooting. He'll just keep this pattern going until you finish him off. You get the Rain Flush weapon from him, which will flush out all enemies on the screen that are affected by this weapon. You'll also get the Rush Marine. Next is Brightman's level. The first sets of enemies have an effect on the environment of the level. If you shoot this flying bulb thing that shoots scattering projectiles, the lights go out for a little while. But if you shoot this green guy, fireworks come out of him and it'll turn the lights back on if they're off. So I usually avoid shooting the bulb so I don't mistakenly fall into any pits. Take this optional ladder down here while you ride these swinging platforms. Careful though, the green one goes back and forth but the red ones fall off the edge, so jump as soon as it reaches its end. You'll end up taking a ride on these robotic grasshoppers that'll help you across these spikes. Stay on the one you're riding until it gets to within jumping distance from the next one, and shoot constantly at these totem poles that spit balls. Toward the end you'll take on some more of these swinging platforms, but these bulb fucks get in the way. Don't be afraid to shoot them, because even when the lights go out you can still see the platforms you'll need to jump on, including this stationary platform you can stay on to take a breather until the lights come back on. Brightman fires off a series of slow plasma shots in 3 directions and leaps into you, which will do a lot more damage. He'll also freeze time, much like how Flashman did it for Mega Man 2, which will make it easier for him to land his attacks. Continuously using the Rain Flush while staying as far away from him as you can to avoid his attacks will destroy him. The weapon you get from him is the Flash Stopper, which is similar to Flashman's Time Stopper from Mega Man 2, only this time you can freeze time in bursts rather than a continuous stoppage of time, and you can fire a normal plasma cannon while time stands still. Next robot on the hit list is Pharaoh Man. You'll start off running through quicksand, so you'll have to jump rapidly to keep yourself from sinking, and have to avoid these enemies in front and above you scattering shit down on you. This is a good time to let the Rain Flush take everything out. Now instead of going down this way to continue through the level, use the rush coil to get across and continue through some more quicksand and you'll find the balloon adapter. You teleport automatically to the checkpoint halfway through the level, so you've essentially taken a shortcut. You'll get to these spiked floors with these faces that act as sliding platforms. Just watch their eyes before you jump to the next one. As soon as they open, they'll fire to either side, so time your jump so you'll get over them. Pharaoh Man is a pain in the ass. He's fast, his charged up Pharaoh shot does some damage, and the floor design makes it awkward to move around. But if you use your Flash Stopper, you'll freeze him, and as long as you're rapid enough with your shots, you should be able to take him out without having to use up all of your Flash Stopper. The Pharaoh shot weapon is pretty awesome. It's chargeable, so you can fire a more powerful shot, and it fires in 6 directions, all except straight up and straight down. Next up is Ringman. Toward the beginning you'll see some of these multicolored flashing platforms. When you make contact with them, a gap will shift across starting from the side you're standing on, so wait for it to go around and then run across. You'll have a mini boss battle with this purple hippo that sits atop this platform. He's too high to reach, so you'll have to shoot the blocks that hold it up, but it continuously builds itself back up, so you have to keep shooting it back down while firing at the missiles that he shoots at you, and the hippo himself. Another mini boss is this eye with a shield of rings protecting it. It'll briefly fire the rings out in all directions, except straight, so jump just before it attacks and shoot, preferably with a charged up Mega Buster shot. Right after the second hippo is a ladder hanging up here that'll lead you to Flip Top. You'll need the rush coil to reach it though. Then you'll encounter these brownish platforms that act the same way as the ones from earlier, only this time they come from the opposite side, so this time wait for the gap to come to you and jump over it. Ringman has a pretty basic pattern. He'll throw a ring that boomerangs back to him, run across the room, and then jump up, throwing another one that boomerangs back down diagonally as he runs back the other way, and repeats the process. Keep jumping over him and his rings, charge up your Pharaoh shot, and let him have it once he stops. You'll get the ring boomerangs from him, which, as the title implies, is a boomerang. It doesn't get much range, but it doesn't deplete much weapon energy either, so it's pretty reliable. Next is Dustman. When you approach the first few pits, wait by the edge for this little harmonica-faced bastard to pop out of the hole and shoot him. If you jump first, he'll hit you and you'll fall to your death. These large blocks will form from underneath the ground, kinda similar to the smaller appearing blocks from the previous Mega Man games. You'll have to shoot down these spinning things while you make your way across, but don't take too long, cause the blocks will eventually crap out and drop you to the spikes. Later on, you'll end up in this compactor area where you'll have to shoot these trash blocks to get through. When you get to where the shorter compactor is, you'll have to take out all the blocks behind it so you can slide across and take out some of it and then come back without getting trapped. Once you free up enough space, make your way through. Dustman sucks. Literally, that's one of his attacks, sucking you towards him, which is easy to prevent by sliding away from him. He also blows. He blows chunks of trash at you, which you can avoid by jumping straight over them because they break off into 4 diagonal directions. Use these strategies to avoid him and take him out with the ring boomerang. You'll get the dust crusher from him, which is a simple blast of compacted trash.